Hello, virtual viewers. Heather's asked me to speak to you today about my experience with the AOTA AOTF Summer Institute for Future Scientists in Occupational Therapy. The deadline for this event is coming up quite soon, so if you are even at all possibly interested in research, then this presentation is for you. And even if you don't think you're interested in research, maybe stick around anyways, because who knows, maybe you might be. So just some quick information about myself. My name is Lori, and I am a part of cohort 14. I graduated this past May, and I attended this event about a year before I graduated. So as I mentioned earlier, this event is part of a joint collaboration between AOTA and AOTF. And the purpose of this institute is to identify potential scientists in entry-level education programs. I also want to mention that they are looking for students who may have limited exposure to research opportunities, and so students who are attending research-intensive institutions are not eligible, even though in this program at Dominguez Hills, we do a lot of research. We are not considered a research-intensive institution, and therefore we are eligible to apply. The second purpose of this institute is to connect potential entry-level scientists with mentors in the occupational therapy scientific community. Mentors of this institute consist of faculty and doctoral students and postdoc students from really established research programs from around the nation. And then the third purpose is to develop a peer network. Not only are there students coming from all over the country, but there are also visiting scholars who come from all over the world at the summit, which I will go into a little bit more detail later. One of my favorite things about this event was that it was fully funded. All applicants get a scholarship to attend. I don't know if you can see, but if you can, just ignore the numbers because they are not accurate. I don't know if I said it yet, but this event in this particular year took place in South Carolina, and so the cost of attendance would, of course, vary depending on where in the country you were coming from. It covered the flights, ground transportation to and from the hotel, the actual hotel, as well as breakfast and lunch during your stay. You had to pay for dinner, but I mean, everything else was pretty much covered, and the reimbursement process was very straightforward. Wow, I can't believe it's been a year and a half since I attended this. Okay, so basically a quick overview of what the schedule was like. On day one was the Summer Institute for Future Scientists. So this is where the OT students from all across the country gathered. And then days 2 and 3 was the Summit of Scholars. So this is where they invited actual researchers and established scientists from all over the country and the world to kind of come and discuss ideas. So this schedule will be a little bit different for 2021 because of COVID and the fact that everything will be virtual. The Summer Institute for Future Scientists will actually take place on over 2 days, and then the Summit of Scholars will take place the following week over 3 days. So due to multiple flight delays, I was actually a little bit late to the Institute and I missed the welcome. So for me, it began right away with Ginny Stoffel, who, by the way, is a previous AOTA president, and she was speaking to us with great zeal about the need for OT scientists and evidence for the occupational therapy profession. And it was all just very inspiring, and I'm really glad that I didn't miss that. There is also a number of really helpful and interesting panel sessions throughout the day, such as the different pathways that you can take to contribute to the knowledge base of our profession, what it's like to be a scientist, as well as going over the distinctions between a PhD and an OTD. Basically, in a nutshell, a PhD is more research-focused, while an OTD is a clinically focused degree. We also had some breakout sessions where we got to discuss with other students questions such as why we might be potentially interested in a career as a scientist, as well as defining our career goals and developing action plans that will hopefully allow us to achieve them one day. And then after this day, there was an opportunity for networking, and I listed some of the names of the people who gave the welcome and intro earlier in the day because some of them might sound familiar. For example, Wendy Hildenbrand, who is the current AOTA president, Mary Lawler, whose name might sound familiar if you've been getting the AOTF emails. So it was all very cool and exciting getting a chance to connect with these folks. And, for example, one of the people I spoke to, I had no idea who they were, and I later found out that they were the recipient of that year's Eleanor Clark's Legal Lectureship Award. And if I had known who they were, I probably would have been too shy to talk to them, so I'm kind of glad I didn't know who they were. The next 2 days were the Summit of Scholars, and as I mentioned before, this is where they invited scientists and PhD students from all over to come and discuss their current and ongoing research, as well as get some new ideas and feedback. And there's a lot on this slide, so I won't read it all, but you can pause this video if you'd like to learn more. But basically, I wanted to show how diverse the topics were, everything from autism, hand therapy, neuro rehab, and then I also chose to highlight some of the occupational science topics that I thought were particularly interesting. Something else that you should know about me is that I am quite introverted. However, I did really appreciate the opportunities for connection at this event. Not only were there other master's and PhD students, but there were also scientists and researchers who were just embarking on their careers, and there were also very distinguished researchers who had received hundreds of thousands and even millions of dollars in federal funding and are really making big waves in the OT profession. There was a time where Terry spoke to us about finding our passion, whether that be through learning, teaching, collaborating, or through advocacy. And my time at Dominguez Hills gave me the exposure to research, and then this institute helped me to see that research was a possible career path that I could take. So if there's anybody out there who thinks that they might even be remotely interested in research, then I wholeheartedly recommend this event, and I encourage you to apply. So if you are interested in applying, the deadline is actually coming up quite soon on February 10th, and the event will take place next June. The dates down here are not accurate. The application was pushed back a little bit this year, and I'm not sure if they will accelerate the deadline or delay the notifications of acceptances, but I did want to show you the previous schedule just as a reference so you can kind of get an idea of when you might hear back from them if you do apply. And then for the application, what you'll need is a statement of interest that describes why you see yourself as a future occupational therapy scientist. You'll need a reference letter, a CV or resume, and then a signed form that basically just verifies that you're eligible for the program. So once again, the deadline is February 10th, and I really hope to see some students from Dominguez Hills applying. If you have any questions, I've listed my email here, so please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions or if you want to hear more about my experience. I tried to keep this video under 10 minutes, so for those of you who have made it through the end, thank you for listening and good luck to all those who are applying.